So there's a new film stock in town that's trying to bring back the look of infrared Kodak Aerochrome. While it's certainly not perfect, it does bring a very similar look that we haven't seen since Kodak discontinued it in 2007 due to its decrease in sales and the digital revolution of cameras. So I'm sure there's at least some of you that are confused on what Aerochrome is and why someone would want to bring it back, which we'll get to momentarily. Aerochrome was initially made for the US military and aerial photography. It's an infrared film, which means all of the greens turn to a red or pink toned hue, which is pretty cool. Because it is infrared, it's much easier to spot enemies, artillery, bases, etc. while doing reconnaissance from the sky. Well, obviously since then, planes, cameras, and infrared technology has come a long way, and there wasn't really a use case for this film in this modern post-film era. With that being said, since then, there's been a ton of people emulating this look digitally via LUTs and presets, but never really achieving the real thing. Irish photographer Richard Moss created some absolutely amazing images in the Congo amidst a dire conflict using infrared in 2011. On top of that, a 40-minute documentary formally depicting Eastern Congo's multifaceted conflict was put together, and the project was probably the greatest artistic use case of infrared since its inception. Using a film created to help war in a documentary depicting the horrors of war, pretty clever. Additionally, I have to mention the countless classic album covers shot with Aerochrome. Despite this having a military background, there is a decent amount of artistic use case that we've seen historically with it. At this point, because it's been discontinued for so long, and I would assume Kodak didn't have much on ice because of its probably not super high popularity, it inflated to a pretty much unattainable price. I mean, think about 2007. There's a whole slew of film to shoot that's getting more and more expensive, and a way more convenient solution arrives in digital cameras. This military film that was very niche to begin with could not have been doing well before its death. But that is where modified film, whose name takes inspiration from an old DIY race series, comes in. Modified film has been in the works for the last couple years. After testing a variety of different film stocks, sort of seeking to do the same thing, they opted to just create their own. From there, they tested a handful of stocks for their base film, and then they finally landed on Lomo Purple, being a stock that they can chemically alter into a Aerochrome lookalike. Now, I'm not sure exactly what is happening to Lomo 800. I'm certainly no chemist, and honestly, have never been very good at science, but I'm sure Jeremy, the owner of Modified Film, could answer any questions that I or you have in the comments. But at this point, it's the only Aerochrome alternative we have, other than obviously Lomo 800 being kind of in the same ballpark, but it's coming in at a relatively affordable price as well, which I think is pretty commendable. Because it is on Lomo Purple, it's not actually infrared film, it's technically just a lookalike. Otherwise, as far as shooting goes, I highly suggest shooting in direct sunlight on a bright day. That doesn't mean shoot it into the sun, because any lens flare on it will not only obstruct the photo, but will also make some weirdness happen with some of the colors, which obviously you want to avoid. I had really good success shooting the hours leading up to golden hour, and then golden hour itself, shooting subjects that were directly in the sunlight. Also, the shadows retain more original colors, so if you wanted to shoot portraits and get somewhat normal skin tones, ideally have your subject in some patch of shadows with the background ideally green and an indirect light. Another good thing of note, when you send out your film, make sure to explain to your lab the goal of modified film. I know my lab was pretty confused on how to color correct and sent back some really green, what I'm assuming was attempted color corrected scans, which honestly cracked me up. I was able to quickly edit them and get them looking right, which I definitely suggest, as adding some more purple and saturation in Lightroom will really help achieve the Aerochrome look. Also, I think this is a good in real time testament that you should always be editing your film photos. You never know how altered they are by a lab tech, and you should see your creative vision, or at least what you saw in real life at the very least, come to light. Sorry for the sidebar. Jeremy also suggests to shoot at 100 and 200 ISO to see which color variations you like, as they give off slightly different color tones. I ended up shooting it in my Contax T2, and because the modified film roll doesn't have a DX code on it, the T2 apparently just defaults to 100 ISO, which at the time really worried me after I realized that it didn't have the DX code, but now obviously in hindsight it was all good. Jeremy also sent over a roll of 120 film to shoot, which I haven't got around to yet. As I was shooting these rolls, the leaves started to change color, which felt like a weird thing to shoot when highlighting this film, kind of. So I think I'll save that for either this winter with the evergreens and snow here in Colorado when skiing or snowboarding, or just shoot it next spring once everything is lush green again. As of now, the supplies are low because it is a small batch experimental film and it's only available in 35mm, but let's sell Jeremy's stock out and show him support for single-handedly trying to help keep film alive and well in 2025 and beyond. I know eventually Jason from Grandy Days will get his mitts on this film, and based on what he's done in the past, I'm excited to see what he thinks. Otherwise, that's going to wrap it up for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this film. Is this something you could see yourself picking up and shooting? Like I said before, it would mean a lot to me, and I know Jeremy, to show him support in the project and for you guys to pick up a role and see what you can get. I know he's currently still trying to get a lot of marketing photos for it, so if you take a good photo with it, I'm sure he would be happy to use it for the site or Instagram or whatever. So there's some incentive. Otherwise, that'll wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Till the next one, stay safe, stay shooting. Adios.